I'll get you for that, boy.
We call to order tonight's meeting of Portland City Council. It's our first regular meeting for the month of November of 2012. We're honored to have with us tonight Brother Juan Rodriguez of the Grace Tabernacle Church. Will you please stand at this time?
Let us have a word of prayer. Father in heaven, we come once again in the mighty name of Jesus. Lord, we thank you for your love and your patience. And God, as we come tonight, we ask your blessing upon this council meeting. And God, also that you will bless them with wisdom and knowledge and able to gather and to put together things that are to advance this city in a better way, Father God. And we just thank you once again. I know it's a hard job, but God, you're able to give them the strength and the courage to continue. And God, we just ask your blessings once again. Bless everyone in a mighty way. God, and we give you the glory and the praise. In the name of Jesus Christ, I do pray. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
God bless you.
Thank you, Juan. Appreciate you coming and appreciate all you do for our communities. Thank you. Roll call, Ms. King.
Alderman Bratton.
Here.
Alderman Callis.
Here.
Alderman Coker.
Here.
Alderman Holmes.
Here.
Alderman McDowell. Alderman Minnis. Alderman White.
Here.
Okay, thank you. Next, we need approval of the minutes of the September 17th, October the 1st, and October the 15th meetings. Do we have a motion to approve these minutes?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Any additions or comments or anything on the minutes? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next, need approval of the agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Have a
Second.
second? Anyone make any additions to the agenda tonight? Or deletions or anything? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Next, we have two public hearings. These are public hearings on two specific ordinances. And then we will, at a later time, have a time for the public to, if anyone in the audience wants to make a comment, the council may do so at that time. But this time it is only on two ordinances. The first ordinance is ordinance 12-50. It's an ordinance to amend Article 4, Section 4-111 of the zoning ordinance of the City of Portland and the Portland Planning Region relative to landscape provisions. This is some update to our landscape provision. Does anyone in the audience have comments to make on this ordinance? Not. Our next is ordinance 12-53, and it's ordinance adopt design review standards for the City of Portland and its planning region. Does anyone wish to make any comments on the design review of standards? And both these items have been through planning commissions and work studies and have had quite a bit of comments on them, and they are both second readings. Okay, if not, we'll consider our public hearings closed. Next, need communications from Mayor and Alderman. Does anyone wish to have anything to say to the citizens?
I do just want to real quickly, sure if anybody has forgotten, tomorrow is election day. I hope that we'll get out and vote. And it's a wonderful privilege we have as Americans, so I hope everyone will take that opportunity to do so.
All right, thank you, Mike.
I got one quick comment. Contrary to what you hear on the news, irregardless of how the election falls, America will be fine,
Right.
and we'll move on. So let's not. And I'll wake up friends Wednesday morning, irrespective to who you voted for and how you vote. Just
So you're having a barbecue at your house Wednesday?
irrespective of who wins, we can.
All right. If anybody needs to know where he lives, I'll give you directions. All right. Yeah, I'm glad you brought it up, Mike, because it is we do live in a nation where we're blessed to have this, and also it brings up next Monday is Veterans Day, and there's a Veterans Breakfast this Friday for the veterans at the Baptist Church by some ladies, and so it's a time to remember, thank those that have been able to keep that right for us all these many years. I want to remind the council and also the public Next week is our week for work study, and because Veterans Day is on Monday and we are closed on Monday, that the work study will be on Tuesday instead of Monday, and it will be at 6:30 because we had some other like planning meetings scheduled, so it will start at 6:30 and be on Tuesday of next week instead of Monday. So I'll remind everybody of that.
Well, I think it might be appropriate, I don't know, you might, or Tim might wanna, mention that, we have, some referendums
Yeah.
on the ballot Thursday that's really critical to our community, so one of you guys might wanna articulate what that means.
Yeah, we have, there's two referendums. One is for the county for wheel tax that would be part of education. And then the other one is a city sales tax. In order, by law, we can raise the sales tax to 9 3/4, which would be a half a cent more than what it is now. And this council voted to put it on for referendum and then voted on there that money would strictly go to street, whether it's paving, drainage, sidewalks, anything to do with streets. That's the only place that money can be used. And we estimated at current sales tax collection, they're bringing in about $230, $1,000, give or take, depending on what our collections are, and that will pave, close to a couple miles of paving each year. And if we were able this year to get some paving money in the budget, and actually today, the first road that was chose by the council on the list of roads that's turned in to be paved was a section of Portland Boulevard, and that was completed today. They hope to get the striping and all done tomorrow, but it's basically done. So we are able, but with that tax, we would be able to do quite a bit more and maybe get some streets in better shape than what they need to be this time. So it's kind of a choice you need to make, and it's one that's just not very costly when you get down to figuring it up, because we have a lower sales tax on food. So I would encourage you to really think about it, and that money is earmarked, and it can only go for street repairs. I don't know, does anyone else want to address anything on it?
The only thing I would say is that our streets are falling apart, and we have a responsibility to actually keep those streets paved. This is a way for us to generate revenue for everyone that runs our streets, irrespective if you're a property owner or not. If you buy goods in Portland, you help pay for those streets. If you leave it to the tax base, and that's typically where you have to go, if there's no other place to go, then you single out just property owners, and I think that's unfair. This is a way that we can bring everybody in and help everyone that does business in Portland and utilize our streets to help pay for this. So I personally encourage everyone to think about that and vote positive on it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, next we've got our reports. Do we have a motion to approve our reports?
So moved.
Now a second.
Second.
Any comments or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
And just quickly on that, because we were waiting for the auditors and such to kind of finish up, will we be looking forward to our next work study in November to go over that then for the audit, or is that what we're looking for?
Well, the audit won't be done probably through the end of the year. They still got to come back and do a little bit more work, but they hope to have it done by the end of the year and present it to us like they did last year, right first of the year. So.
They're supposed to come back next Tuesday through Friday to basically finish up all the work here
see.
and then put the reports together.
Okay.
As far as I know, she feels like will have it done by the end of the
You
year.
felt like based on the fact that they have everything basically pro-forma and out there and everything that they could have it about middle of December is what they're looking at
Oh, okay.
for a final audit report.
All right, anyone else? Did we didn't vote. All in favor of the report say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next, we have a period of our meeting where we ask for public recognition. If anyone in the audience would like to address the council on an item that is on the agenda, you can do so at this time. And ask you to state your name and address and keep it to about 5 minutes. Does anyone wish to address the council? state your name and address.
Matthew Reed, 107 Emma Drive, Portland, Tennessee.
Okay.
I just want to talk about the CAC resolution to dissolve it. I think at this point it's a good idea. The citizens that I've spoken with and dealt with as a member of the CAC have expressed that they would take part of it more often had they not felt that there was the appearance of direct correlation with this council. So getting people to work with us was difficult. You know, the Scottsville project was one of the biggest things that the CAC was able to take care of. Since that, it seemed to be honestly quite downhill. Honestly, I didn't know that it had been dissolved until I read it in the newspaper. I was never contacted and told that it was no longer, you know, an entity, which is a kind of a funny thing considering I was the secretary of said entity. I think that it should be dissolved. I think the citizens of Portland should get together and make their own committee, have their own people that is not directly or have the appearance of being directly related to the city council, to the mayor, or to City Hall in general. Some people felt that that was a conflict of interest, and it also honestly scared some people away from wanting to be a part of it. There was issues with leadership. I point fingers at nobody. There was lack of communication, which apparently continued to the very end, to say the least. But it was told to me before I joined, while I was a member, and since it's been dissolved, or not officially but unofficially dissolved, that it was set up to fail. That there were people that thought it was a bad idea once it was created just because they felt they might have created a monster. Well, gentlemen, I hope tonight you put that monster to rest. I hope the citizens do get together and make their own committee to where that way they can address this council. And I would hope the council would take in consideration during the time for the CAC, if another council is created, or if there's a group of citizens that would need more than 5 minutes to talk, that they might be able to be granted that time in its stead, since the CAC hopefully will no longer be anymore after this evening. But I know y'all have gotten to know my face a little bit and probably hate seeing it, and Lord knows my wife does every morning, but still, I appreciate y'all putting up with us. I appreciate y'all working with us. Mayor, I know that you always answered emails back as quickly as possible, and Alderman Coker and Alderman Callis, I know y'all have been quick to answer questions that were posed to you, and we appreciate y'all letting us have it around, but I think now it's time to put that dog out, you know, put him down, and let the citizens come up with something different. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Matthew. Does anyone else wish to address the council? Okay, if not, we'll move on to the business of the night. This is a very short agenda. It has 2 meetings. Sometimes we have one meeting that is very short, but it's the way the one is tonight. But it is a very important meeting, and really 3 important pieces of business to deal with. Alderman Vice Mayor McDowell cannot be here tonight because of work issues. The first is ordinance 12-50. It's an ordinance to amend Section 4, Article 4, Section 411 of the zoning ordinance of the City of Portland and Portland Planning Region relative to landscape provisions. Do we have a motion to get it on the floor?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Have any comments or questions?
Well, I do appreciate all the work that's went in on that. We've had several individuals work on this, citizens and committees. Appreciate Jackie, all of her work, and good document.
Yeah, I think it's, you know, they went through with it as covering a lot of different areas, not just, you know, it was what's reasonable, what would work, not work, and things to have a good for everybody. Anyone have any other comments or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next is ordinance 12-53. This is an ordinance to adopt design review standards for the City of Portland and its planning region. Do we have a motion to get it on the floor?
So moved.
Second.
Second. Any comments or questions on this design review?
Well, it's the same thing here. Once again, you know, we have something that citizens were directly involved in putting together. I think Alderman Harbin was the council representative on the group, and so he's worked with a lot of citizens here in town, and they put a lot of hard work into that, and I think we got a good document. We got something to work with, move forward with, and appreciate the effort by everybody to do that.
All right, any other comments or questions?
I have some serious problems with it, to be honest with you. I read in here, I can't find it right off, but you know, they're gonna have to hire an expert to tell them what to plant, how to plant it. With a degree in that type of thing, I don't see it right off.
I think we.
That was addressed at
Right.
one point where it was, there were several different options that could qualify the person.
Well, there was three. There was three that I read.
That's correct.
Wouldn't it,
Dealing with landscaping right now, if that's what we're talking about.
no, design review standards, we done, have done past the landscaping design.
I know, but I'm talking about is what
The
he's
land,
referring
landscape
to.
part of it, you know, the design review where we did have some.
It references, I think it references
Right.
the
Here it
landscape
is.
ordinance.
3, a Bachelor of Science degree in landscape design from an architectural university, a 4-year ornamental horticulture or biological degree from an accredited university, qualified landscape professional with at least 5 years of experience in accredited nursery business.
And that last one that you read was added in for that reason, for somebody who was familiar in the business without necessarily having to have a biological degree or something like that, that could
Well,
do that.
you think somebody like
Yeah,
Roger would qualify for that?
that's why it was included. I think anyone in the community, the 2 landscape businesses, both of them qualify under that provision.
Anyone in the community?
No, I said those 2 people that have the landscape
Oh,
businesses
oh.
qualify under that provision.
Well, then you're assuming that he won't charge for his professional work if he gets to do the work, right?
This would be a bidding
I mean, that would be up to them and whoever he's doing the work for.
we have, I think, 2.
Well, we wouldn't be doing no bidding, would we?
No, I said we have
Yeah.
2. I said we have 2 landscape businesses, so it'd be competitive. It's not like it's a sole source. We only have one, so. And
If we had, one reason that was put in, let's just say somebody had a smaller development, they don't necessarily have to go out and find somebody, with a degree, quote unquote, is that they could find somebody who's experienced in that area.
Okay.
At least 5 years, I think is how it's listed, and so that smaller developer, can bring that person in and present that design review without having to put a lot of extra money involved in that.
I'll use Roger for example. He don't have the riprap and rock over there. He might, well, he's got rock, but he might get it shot rock or all that. He's got the mulch and the specific trees. There may be some plants and trees in there that neither one of these nurseries in Portland have.
Right, and they were given, basically, design review gave them a list of trees, species not to use, and basically left it open for any other species besides that on the list, and so they have a pretty extensive,
I
list
read
to
the
work
whole,
off
I
that,
read the
so.
whole thing, and
So that opens them up, and it just gives them an idea, maybe this guy up here, not necessarily he has to use, I guess, quote unquote, all of his products per se, but that he can be the one that advises them to say, this is how we're gonna plan the landscaping aspect of it, instead of bringing in a.
And there again, it just applies to commercial. It doesn't affect residential.
And, C under there says use riprap or shot rock. Use of riprap, shot rock, or similar materials is strongly discouraged and shall only be to use stabilized soil around covers, drains, or where engineering requirements deemed necessary. So, this goes pretty deep.
And, you know, all that is dealt with on site plans. I mean, usually you'll have a civil engineer doing some of that, then I'll have an architect person helping them on a landscape person helping them on the landscape and so forth. But a lot of that deals with drainage and stuff too, so.
Erosion control, I noticed that's in there. Ronnie Purdue didn't even use that up here on the city project. But I just I know they've done a lot of hard work on it, there's a lot of good stuff in it. But I don't know, it's just a lot of regulations, looks to me like putting on the building. Federal government's bad enough. Looks like we're just piling on. I'm gonna vote for it, but I'm concerned about it.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Melvin, for your comments. Next, don't have anything on the Public Works, Parks, or Public Safety. The other resolution we have is Resolution 12-103. It's a resolution to rescind Resolution number 1186, which established the Citizens Advisory Council. Do we have a motion to get it on the floor?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, I did get and I think all the council got an email from Mr. Garner, who's the president of the CAC, about a week ago, asking us to dissolve and do away with the CAC as it presently stands. Does anyone need the resolution? I made some copies if anyone needs it to look at. If anyone needs to look at what we passed.
Thank you.
We'll open up for comments.
Well, I've spoke today with some members, past members. And first, and just let me say that this was something that was established by the council, so an individual couldn't dissolve it anyway. What I like to see, we wanted to see some citizen involvement, and I know the difficulty that surrounds that at times, and a citizens group is always welcome to start anytime, they want to. This was a way to have a standing committee to where people could have a voice, that they could work on other issues and always have a voice in front of the council at every meeting. I think it may be prudent for us to maybe suspend this for just a little while. Let's dissolve the membership, suspend it, take another look at it. I've got some past members that's already contacted me today and said, we don't want to get rid of it. We want to move forward with it, and we want to find a way to have a committee that's active in the community. So I would personally hate to dissolve it right now at this time, and let's figure out what's broken and what needs to be fixed, and if there's a way that we can help. If we can't, we'll move forward from there. But I would personally just like to us take a step back before we do something hastily tonight.
All right. Any other comments or?
This was a very difficult animal to establish in the beginning, and I've had conversations with the CAC in that I don't know if he was quoting me directly, but I believe I gave Matthew, and I said that I felt like that it was kind of set up to fail in that it just wasn't specific enough in what their relationship was supposed to be with the council, who they go to get information, and where it is on priority, things like that. I really think this would be better if we called a meeting for a place or a time, just so that everybody knows when they get together, and then the city just stands back and lets the citizens form it however they want to form it. I think the more we stay out of it, the better. I personally don't feel that it's necessary for the city to call the meeting for them to form it. I feel like he was correct in saying that it needs to be formed by the citizens solely, and for it to be completely separated from the council and not directed by the council and not appointed by the council. Personally, I think it needs to be, and maybe we can leave the place in our meeting for for somebody from that, but I don't know how the rule of order and stuff, I don't know how all that pertains to a specific group having a set spot in our meetings.
And that's that's the problem, and this is how we got here. We had tried once already to open up our meetings that anybody could come and address this council with anything at any time, and that got shot down.
Right now, the way it's set, unless it's on the agenda, you can't address it. And the only way to allow a group to come in was to formulate a standing committee to where they could have a representative come in and say, this is what we've heard, what we've talked about, and we want to share these things with you. And so this was an outlet. But as we've always said, anytime a citizen group wants to get together, but it don't necessarily, unless we open it up or change the rules, change the way we've done, which we've tried and it failed, because we talked about this here over a year ago, that they would have no voice coming before the council unless it was an item on the agenda. And the CAC was supposed to be able to come and address based on what they've heard and things they've talked about. And also some of the members had hoped that it would be some things that they could organize in the community and move forward. And they wanted to see, and this is what I've been told, and as I've talked with others, they wanted to see a relationship with the council, working together for a common goal. But, you know, not everything works out perfectly, but I'd hate to just throw it out and without seeing if it's possible to salvage it or not. But we'll vote on it, I guess.
This would be my stab at trying to get a working solution for a body such as this. The only reason I say that maybe the city would call the meeting in the place is just because if they don't, you're going to probably have 3 or 4 different groups all start up at the same time, and how do you decide which one's going to be the group? You know, if you just have one time set aside where everybody would know, okay, whoever's interested come to this meeting, so that the result of this meeting is one group. You know, whoever, if it was left up to a citizen to call that meeting, I think it would automatically imply that whoever that citizen was would probably wind up the leader of that committee, is the only reason why I gave that idea.
I understand.
We might actually wait for this committee to form, see how active it's going to be, and if that committee is stable enough and they feel like that they've reached a place where they're ready, then they come to the council and say, we'd like a spot on the agenda, and we give it to them.
Well, at any time any person wants to address this council, all they have to do is go to any council member on this and say, this is a topic that I want to address. Would you please put it on the agenda for me?
And they can
And
do
it's
that, you're
there.
right.
Call the recorder's office, I mean, we have that all the time.
It's automatically there, so I don't know where you coming from when you say it's hard to get something on the agenda, because it's not. Any person right there, standing out there right now, could walk up to me and say, I've got a legitimate issue that I want to discuss tonight with this council. And I would say, all right, tell me what it is. I'll put it on the agenda for you. So, you know.
That issue isn't the issue with me as much as it was something like the Scattersville project, where they did a lot of work in having a meeting place and letting citizens come by. I mean, that worked very well. I agree with you. I don't think it's difficult to get something on the agenda. That's
Not at all.
that's not the basic function of that committee. And in my mind, you know, in my mind, it was kind of supposed to be, for lack of a better term, a go-between someone who could do a little bit of legwork for the citizens of Portland to present things to the council that may not be researched as much, just because we have so many big ideas and big problems to deal with. Some of the, and I'm not saying, because my problem's the biggest problem, even if whatever body I'm taking to don't see it as the biggest problem, but you know, that some of these other ones that were kind of slipping through the cracks were slipping through the cracks.
Well, I'm gonna agree with Councilman Callis right now and say that I don't think we ought to rescind it at this time. If you want to suspend it, that's fine, and if he makes that a formal motion, I'll second it.
Can I just, one comment, and I don't have strong feelings either way. The problem with creating a citizens committee, and I applaud the work they done on Scattersville Road, but that work was going to be done anyway. Typically, when there's something in someone's community, the community rises up, and my good friend Billy Wayne was out there. So typically, if there's something in a community, someone in the community is going to oppose it, whether it be an annexation or whatever it might be, rezoning or something. But when you set up a committee and, okay, this is a committee, but I don't necessarily, there's Jackie that I don't really like working with Jackie, but she's part of this committee. there's an issue over in my area that I want to deal with. I don't know that we ought to have a committee. I think if there's an issue in a community, that particular community form together, and they typically will if it's a rezoning or something major, and they come down and address it here at this body, because it's hard to put a committee together and say that's the only way that you're going to get answers from the city council is to go through a particular committee, whomever's on that committee. It's just the way life is.
Like I said, you don't have to go through a particular committee. All you gotta do is address one of the city council members. You can get something put on the agenda.
And I-
And I think, too, maybe one of the things that we didn't do, and it's nobody's fault, this is the first day, but I think it maybe made the purpose too broad.
Too general.
We should have maybe had more specific purposes, you know, or certain projects and things like that could have been.
Well, one of the reasons why that went that way was there was
Sorry, not
trying to
all.
avoid a perception that the
Right.
council was doing. And so we said, here it is. Y'all figure out who's who, what you're gonna do, and what your purpose is, and then.
But the problem is we said, y'all figure out who's who, but these are the 6 people you get to choose from.
Well, that was when we started, because we tried to figure it out, and that's, see, we had an original document, and then it got tore apart, and that's just the nature of the way things go when you've got multiple council members. One of the things that I worried about in the beginning is finding a way, like I say, when this got brought out, I didn't reinvent the wheel here, I brought things from other communities, and one thing they did purposely was to make sure that you identified diversity in the group. You had to pick from certain segments of your society. If you did not, you'd end up with a group of people on a committee who all thought alike, and that's very, very dangerous. And so you have to make sure you have diversity, and they forced themselves to do it. And that's what other communities did. It just
Judging
didn't work
how long
here.
people stayed on that committee, I don't think all of them thinking alike was a problem.
No, but there was some other dynamics that's still going on, I think.
I just feel like that it needs to be totally separate from the council. I don't feel like it needs to be, I don't feel like our input in creating this committee or even directing them with certain tasks, to me, that's just, to me, that's making ourselves a committee to appoint and to move how we want them to.
Yeah,
If this
there's
is
certain
a
ways that we
citizens
should-
committee that is to convey unbiased information from the citizens, then it doesn't need to be people that we choose, because it's really easy for me to choose somebody that I want on that committee, Tim to choose somebody he wants on that committee, and obviously it's gonna have a perception of a biased committee if we decide what the committee's gonna do, who's gonna be on the committee, what their objective is going to be. To me, it needs to be totally
But
separate.
that's what we do with other committees now. I mean, just
That's
like you,
not that type of committee.
well, but that's the question is what is their purpose? And I think we still ain't even
It's not up to
identified
us, not
that.
up to us what their purpose is. That's my point. This is a
But they
citizen.
can do that anytime they want to. They don't even, they could operate a group outside the CAC, and when we originally set this up, that was brought up time and time and time again. A group of citizens can go meet at Pizza Hut tonight. Start tonight. They don't need us at all. The reason why it kept coming back to this was simply saying, we want to know that we have your support. Because, see, they can form a group, but that doesn't mean they get any support from any department head or any information. They just have to do the normal route. This way, they had a little bit extra opening that you would have
But
normally
they
had.
shouldn't have had that either. They shouldn't have more access than your average citizen has.
But they were acting as a standing committee like any other committee
I
was.
understand that, but anybody should be able to walk through the doors of City Hall and have equal access to the same information as this committee does, correct?
Don't you think that committees get quicker information? Because, see, you don't have to stop everything.
do anything quicker.
No, I'm saying an individual can't come in to City Hall and demand everything stop right there for them right then. 'Cause that's not the
Neither can a
process in
committee.
place.
How long
But no,
has committee
committees,
been in
committees
effect?
can find out more quicker, I think, than
August
the
of
average
last
citizen
year,
can.
2000.
Well, that may be the case,
So
but that doesn't necessarily mean it should
It's
be.
been over a year.
Yeah, a year and 3
Originally, when this committee was started, the only members that were supposedly appointed by this council were for 1 year. Then after that, it was totally up to them. They could do anything they wanted to, anybody in the community they wanted, as
They were
their
supposed to
chairman or
set those
whatever.
days, they were supposed to figure out how to do that, and that kind of eroded.
And
You just talking about the picking the first group, we each chose a person.
Yeah, but that was for
So
only 1 year.
that's the
I
person
didn't, because
you
I
get.
didn't feel that was the way to go.
I mean, it is as much diversity as you might be able to get with 7 people choosing the committee members.
Yeah, but after the
No,
first year, that was
seven
all
young
wrong.
people.
No, I understand, but I mean, I think everybody knows, understands what I'm saying. I think it needs to be taught, personally, I may be the Lone Ranger, but I think it needs to be totally separate. I think that the group needs to be formed by citizens, and if
And that can be done anytime.
I agree.
As of that 12th month, it was supposed to
we
be
can
totally separate, period.
and I don't mind keeping. I don't care if we keep the CAC in full effect if members want to be part of this group, but I would encourage everybody to form their separate group, and I mean,
I think that's a good idea.
I do too.
I don't care who's the head of it, chairman of it, or whatever. If he wants to get out and work and get 5 or 6 or 7 people that's interested enough to come to a meeting, vote on who the chairman's gonna be, let those people vote, let him do it.
But I also
And
agree with
totally
you
separate
too,
from us.
that group should have no more bearing than
No,
any
no.
other.
than any one person should have. I mean, it's
I agree
obviously
with
going to have more of an effect because they're going to be conveying the opinions of a larger group of people to us. So to me, if someone's representing a group of 100 people, it's going to have more bearing than if just one person comes in and says, "I represent only me."
How are we gonna know that
this is my view.
that they're representing 100 people? or
Well, I
10
mean,
people?
we're going to have to just decide whether they're telling the truth or not, which, I mean, that's
I went to a lot of
we're going to have to be able to understand it, but
We're not gonna give them a life
it's not that, I mean, to me, it's not that complicated. It's,
Mr. Reed would like to make a comment. Of course, the meeting's already started. Do we have a motion to suspend the rules, let him speak?
so moved.
Second.
Second, all in favor of suspending the rules, let Mr. Reed speak, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, Mr. Reed.
One of the problems you run into with the CAC is kind of like you said, there's the perception. Now, I'm not sure you talked to Alderman Callis, but the perception of the people that I've dealt with, people that I've gone out and spoken with, face to face, people send me emails when we had the Facebook page, that were uncomfortable with how directly we worked with you. The other problem that they had was, it's like you say, any group of citizens can come up here and talk. The only problem is there's only really one way to do that. It's like you said, anybody can get anything on the agenda, but from that point, you have 5 minutes. The CAC had an unlimited amount of speaking time. The only way that as citizens we could come up with a group, be able to come up here and speak to everyone to get whatever it is on the agenda we wanted to talk to, was to essentially write out everything we wanted to say and go in order, speak for 5 minutes. If it was a 25-minute speech or something, 5 minutes, we switch off. It's like a tag team. You come in and speak. The CAC had unlimited access as far as time to speak on certain subjects. You do run into issues of leadership, and it's like you said, you don't want everybody to agree on everything. Everyone agrees on everything. You get 7 people that agree that, this town should, set up some kind of crazy bouncing machine outside of City Hall, then you're going to have a bouncing machine outside. You'll have kids jumping in it all the time, drive you crazy. But at the same time, you have to have direct leadership that's going to be able to direct what you are trying to do. You're going to have members that actually show up to meetings. When prior to myself and my wife and I believe Curtis Grove actually joining, there were only 3 standing members of the CAC for several months. As far as after that first year, they're supposed to, try to re-elect. Well, the members of the CAC were informed that the chairman had been extended by another year by this council. As to the accuracy of that, I do not know because I haven't spoken with anyone about it.
I never heard anything about it.
Well, essentially, yes, he extended his own term. However, it was under the guise that it was done by this group, and thus leaving most of us with no voice as far as changing members. But prior to that, 2 of the members that were of those 3, from the chairman himself, one of them didn't show up for 10 straight meetings. The other one came in, I know since the time I've been a part of it, twice and stayed no more than 15 minutes into it and then left. There's no participation. There were issues with leadership from former members as to why certain people left. As to the accuracy of that, I do not know because I was not there. But that was what was conveyed to me. The problem we run into is the council itself. Gentlemen, y'all can, put someone up on there, and as to Joe Citizen sitting out there, it's going, if Mr. Bratton over here decides to nominate someone, well, he's gonna work for Luther as far as what his ideas are. Same thing with Alderman Coker, with any of you. So the perception was by the people that I've worked with and that I've spoken with is that your hand was not only in there, but you were working the strings of the people of the CAC. Again, the accuracy of that, I never saw. I mean, me personally, but again, I was not there from the beginning. So I agree with Alderman Harmon that, you know, we don't need any citizens group to be directly with the council. Whether y'all are writing a resolution to form us, because in the beginning, on a certain message boards, there were citizens talking about they wanted to, you know, start a citizens group. And the more people that it gained support from, it was shortly thereafter that the CAC was formed. Myself and my wife wanted to be a part of it. We were told you had to submit an application. And again, it looks to the people who are observing that people are being henpecked for what this council wants to do, to be able to support their decisions alone as opposed to anything that may come from the community. Again, I never saw that happen, so I'm just saying it's perception. And in this world, gentlemen, perception is everything. And it perceives that we were working under you, for you, being directed by you. So if the citizens do get together, our only option is to stand in line 5 minutes at a time on anything that we are able to get onto the agenda. So that was one of the issues we ran into, was perception of how closely we worked with the council and if we were working for the council, and also the perception of if we did it separately, we don't have the time to speak to you. We'll get our 5 minutes, then we have to walk out the door. So with the CAC, there's that extended amount. So if you do get a citizens group together, at what point would they be granted any extended amount of time beyond that 5 minutes? And that's the problems you run into. So, I mean, I appreciate you letting me speak on that, but it's, as y'all were talking back and forth, as a member being there for the meetings, we saw what we ran into. We saw the issues we ran into. And there are people, like you said, that want us to work directly with you. There are people that don't want us anywhere near this building until it's time to come talk as to what's wrong. Because you get that, who are they working for mentality? Are they here for the citizens, or are they here to make sure the council get what they want? So, just something to think about. I hope you do resolve it. I hope you don't stick it aside for now, because if those members wanted to be a part of it, there were more than ample opportunities and offers to each individual that were former members to come back, but there were reasons they wouldn't, and it didn't have to do with necessarily the reasons that were brought up. So if there were different things, it might have been different.
Thank you, Mr. Reed. All right, back. Any other council member, anything to say?
We have to remember that I hope we're not proceeding under the false assumption that a committee is going to be formed to make everybody happy, because we were elected by the people and we don't make everybody happy. So, I mean, there isn't going to be a committee that operates without any conflict or struggle or problems, because there's people involved. And as long as there's people involved, it's not going to be all that smooth. I just think that it would be better for the committee, that it would be better for us if it were two separate things. Because if we're going to be hand in hand, I don't see the purpose for a Citizens Advisory Committee in the first place. But if it's going to be all citizen, 100% citizen, operate the way they want to, under their own volition, under their own leadership, and it'll be up to them whether they form, whether they stay around or not this body.
And I'll say, I don't feel like, I can't really remember a time when the CAC came in to speak and needed more than their 5 minutes. I don't remember a representative standing up and needing more than that. Now, you may have needed it personally a time or two, but I don't recall the CAC representative needing more than, somebody from the CAC needing more than 5 minutes, just right off the top of my head. May have happened.
That's if they came in and actually spoke.
Right, no, I understand, but I don't know how big of a issue that is, but, I don't think the CAC being formed was a bad idea. I don't think it was done half-heartedly, and I don't think it was bad the way that it was formed. I think that it answered a lot of questions for me as to how it should go, and I think that there's probably a lot better opportunity of the community forming a committee now that we've had the CAC, because I don't know that it would have ever happened otherwise. It didn't up until now, and I think that the community stands a pretty good chance of having a committee that will actually serve the purpose that we wanted the CAC to serve. And I understand why it was done the way that it was, as far as the members appointed, because it had to be on a committee so they would have more access and so they could be an official city committee.
Right.
But personally, I think that I'm for dissolving it and allowing the citizens to form their own committee. If there's any reason that we don't, if there's a good reason not to dissolve it, I'm fine with leaving it, the way that it is. But I still encourage the citizens to form their own, and do it all on their own.
I don't think we ought to have any input on who's on the committee. That's why I think he's interested in it. Evidently his wife's interested in the city. He's willing to do the legwork, get the people, the committee. I don't want no part of it. You know, I'm willing to listen to them, but I don't think we ought to appoint anybody.
And I'm just gonna go back to my point one more time. There's not gonna be any committee that's gonna address everyone's issues. Someone may have an issue about landscaping and the streets, and another group of people may not have a concern about that. To say that this is the official group and we're gonna listen to them, this group that may bring something totally unrelated that this group may not wanna address. So I think you can have as many committees and they can come down in force, and they will when the issues affects them, and we'll hear about it. I mean, it never fails. I've never seen it not fail when there's an issue that it's on their mind. So,
Well, we've talked around this. Has anybody else got anything new to add to what hadn't already been said? Don't mean to cut everybody off, but it's I think we said about all we can say.
Football.
No, I don't know who's playing. One thing that we had talked about, I hadn't been mayor very long, and then the economy kind of started going the other way, and it's not something that costs a lot of money. And if I can get some information together quick enough, again, I'll try to bring it to maybe the work study. I know one thing other communities have done good is where you get citizen, not necessarily input, but maybe where you get citizens educated in one city is do a citizens academy. I think you've seen some of it with the MTask and all, where basically people apply, you'll get a group, maybe a dozen, and then you'll, like, once a month you'll meet and you'll go, like they may come down to City Hall, and all the departments within City Hall would meet with them that night, explain what goes on. Then it's been one night at Public Safety, maybe 2 nights at Public Works, because you got Public Works and Utilities, then maybe a night in the street or something, or evening or Saturday, whatever it may be, And this gives more people an opportunity to really see what goes on. You can actually do like 2 a year, and I think Mr. Amonette White House is very successful in doing that. It's just getting a group of people maybe educating on what goes on, and if that's something you're open to. And it's really not a lot of money involved, but I know at the time we were doing a lot of cutbacks and things. And
Well, Sumner
so forth.
County even has their leadership program. It's in a similar way. It's good
Right.
education.
So,
Yeah, I like that idea, because if I'm concerned about public safety and I'm not concerned about parks, I can come and actually listen to the public safety
Right.
portion of it, and not, maybe I feel parks is
so I
running
try
just
to-
fine or something.
In fact, maybe not this work study, next work study is, I've had a lot of that at one time, but it's been 2 or 3, 4 or 5 years, so. Well, are we ready to vote?
You're talking about rescinding our
Right.
part of it.
Right.
And what was your,
Was
did
gonna
you
make an
even
amendment
offer an
or-
amendment?
I didn't offer anything. I
Okay.
just simply said that I would hate to see it. I just know how things work. And like Alderman Harden brought up, if it would have been done before, it would have been done. And it hadn't been done. This is the way to kind of spark it. And this may, even dissolving it tonight, may go ahead and spark it, and something may rise up and it may work great. I don't know. But it was also another way to try to get more citizen involvement in the committees. I hate to see it go away.
Well, cause citizens do, we just passed the design review committee and things tonight, and that was a direct result of citizen involvement.
It was.
And so I thought it may be, and I'll put the blame on myself, I brought this thing before the council. It might have been a better job if I'd have, what is the scope of it, or maybe that would have been the best part, maybe because there wasn't, and I've heard that many times, what are we supposed to do, didn't know what we're supposed to do, and so I take the blame on that, so
Well, that's
if it all falls apart, it's on me.
I have no doubt that the biggest part of this committee dying is perception. There's no question to me that perception of us controlling the members by appointing them originally was probably a big part of it, but I can say that I don't know of that being a true problem with anybody.
And I was offended by that, because I asked someone to serve and asked them to call Mike, and I've not spoken to him in a year and a half. and they went off the committee for 6 months, and I wasn't even aware of it.
But if, offended or not, you understand the perception.
Yeah,
I mean,
and it's somehow
there's
there's
no
no way to
question
work
that's right.
around it. You know,
Yeah.
When we brought this up, I said, whoever contacts me first. That's how I done it on Facebook. And the first person that contacted me was my pick. You know, that's who I brought. First person who sent me a message, because I just left it out that way.
But
So,
what is this perception about we need somebody to help me vote? I mean, I'm gonna sit down and vote my conscience.
I don't know if there's something to help you vote, but just to be able to get more, that would my view of it.
This idea about I need someone in the community to sell my ideas, and then I'm gonna come down here based on that. I mean, I don't.
Yeah, I don't think that was the intent anyway.
I'm sorry, Mayor.
If something comes up,
I'm ready.
Call for the question, Mayor.
All right.
you're done, go off the question.
Yeah. I'm done.
Does everybody understand what we're voting on? All in favor? I will be rescinding the CAC, and a no will be keeping the CAC in contact. Does everybody understand?
Say it again now.
If you vote yes, you will be voting in favor of doing away with the CAC.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
If you vote no, you'll be favoring keeping the CAC alive. Does everyone understand? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm gonna
No.
throw a no out there.
All right. Let's raise your hands for the noes, so we'd be sure.
Me and Melvin partnering up again, buddy. Look at
Well,
it.
there's something going on strange here. I don't
Right.
know.
Well, I think it was a good idea.
I think it was too, so. All right, so the CAC has been, by a vote of this council, officially dissolved.
President Obama was
See anything else?
Just, Mayor, you may
President Obama
mention,
was the
since it's
president.
not going to be televised for any citizens that may be interested about the very important discussion that's going to be at our next work study.
We, as all of you,
No tomorrow.
not everybody, most of you aware that we had formed a committee several months ago about looking at buying the hospital property. The committee has met, got just a little bit more information this week, and I'll try to be getting with all the council members at some point to getting all the information together about the hospital property that will be on a work study this coming Tuesday night at 6:30. And so we will have some final things to bring to you for discussion at that time.
and I just want to bring this up as an idea. If this is something we do pursue to go deeper, I think it may be very wise to call for a public hearing out at the hospital property, where we can be out there and meet out there, people can look at it, we can talk about it and view it ourselves. I'd like to, and I love to get some people involved very early, not late.
Right.
Very early, I want people involved on that.
All right, so that will be an item on the next work study.
Where can people find out what their voting precinct is, if they don't already know?
Should be able to go to the Sumner County government website.
VoteSumnerTN.org.
Yeah, okay, and,
VoteSumnerTN.org.
Mm.
I've had a few people ask me, and I didn't really know where to tell them to get.
What time
that
am I
information.
need to pick them up tomorrow? I'll pick them up.
all right, has anyone else got anything?
Mayor, this is not on the agenda, but this no left turn on Main Street. I'd like to see that done away with. We've got a red light that's sandwiched in between two red lights. I see no reason that was left turn for ever since Portland's been here.
I agree with you.
Now, I don't believe the railroad has got a thing to do with that.
Well, they shut the railroad down, when you remember, and it took.
I'll tell you what we can do, we can shut the railroad down by slowing their trains down. And I'll guarantee you they'll let us go.
So, but,
Now, I don't believe they've got a thing to do with that end of the street.
but we had-
I can see it's gonna be on the paper now, you know, this week, Alderman
care.
blockade, CSX.
I'm getting tired, I'm tired of people
Well,
just,
we had a traffic engineer to do that, and it was approved by
Yeah.
this board and everybody.
it's
I will
a
check
stupid
in.
idea, I don't care who the engineer was.
Well, it was to avoid,
You voted for him? No, I said it's a stupid idea.
I tell you, the reason, Mr. Menace, that was done that way is because it was that way, if you remember, and people were backing up several cars on Main Street to go left, and that was the reason that was done that way, but we can,
Have you
We can
seen
check
how many
in.
cars go up Main Street a day?
but all it takes is one time, get 4 or 5, and you start getting the complaints. But anyway, we can look into it and pull that plan
Well,
back
if you go up
out.
there and look,
I've been
people
on
that
this
wore the
end
marks out,
about
turning
7
left.
years.
I know they probably
You
do
would not
anyway,
believe
so.
how many times they've changed the flow
But-
of traffic
do.
in Main Street and that.
The lawyer
This
does.
is, that's the.
I like the sign at this
no,
end.
yeah, I've never
You
seen the sign.
You
Yeah.
just said you
It
did.
says you can go straight or you can turn that way.
All right, is anything else?
I'm gonna say,
All
I'll
right.
start writing citations
This
up there.
meeting,
Y'all
without
can-
objection, is adjourned.
I'm not gonna.